Fillets are a fantastic feature that should be used everywhere inside of a 3D printed part, except on the first layer. You should not have fillets on the bottom of your part. The reason is this: if you fillet the bottom of a part, you end up with effectively a near horizontal first couple of layers, where you have an overhang that either has to be supported or is just going to get deformed and nasty down there on the first part, because you have the first layer go down and then the next layer goes way far out into space, and then the next layer builds on that and then it slowly recovers. That's not a very good way of doing it. If you do have to have the fillets on the bottom of a feature, don't use standard perfectly circular fillets where each edge is tangent to the edge that it's interfacing with. Instead, design kind of a custom fillet where it comes down and just kind of curves in a little bit. This creates the same aesthetic, but then you don't have that overhang issue where the layers can build on top of each other very easily. And you end up with a part that comes off a lot cleaner. Now you end up with a larger contact area down here, which kind of changes your geometry. You also end up with a slightly sharper edge than you would otherwise have. But again, no messed up bottom that looks all rough and nasty. Now, technically, the maximum that an overhang should ever be inside of a 3D printed part is 30 degrees. And you can actually create this when designing your custom fillet for some type of rotational item or when cropping it off. But even with 30 degrees, you still run the risk of having a certain amount of deformation or kind of a ring wobble on the bottom of your part as those first layers go down. Because again, you have the first layer and then the next layer on top of it ends up way out here. So the shallower you can make this angle, the better. But again, you don't want the angle. In a perfect world, you just use a chamfer. That way, every layer is exactly one stair-step ratio up from the next. And again, make that whole thing a minimum of 30 degrees. And you create something that's really viable. Now, when is this actually relevant? Well, it often comes up with pieces like this. This would be something that's like a switch cover or something, where you have a switch come through there and people can flick it and move it around. But this cover would generally be beveled, and the bevels themselves, folks often go kind of the lazy route of creating a perfectly circular fillet. But again, you end up with that saginess right here on this lower corner, which is not ideal and makes it look bad. But if you create that slightly decreased bevel, then you get the same general aesthetic that's not too darn different from the standard fillet. So it looks curved and smooth and you have the aesthetic that you're going for, but you don't end up with the wonkiness on the bottom of the part. So hopefully now you know better how to design fillets on the bottom of your piece so that you get a part that looks really good, is mass producible, and doesn't create any sort of wonkiness or bad print artifacts. We have all kinds of other design videos where we talk about these types of features, and we'll have more coming out in the future. So subscribe and comment down below with other topics that you might want to have us covered. Have a great day, everybody.